Okay, everybody, let's go over the course guide for ENGL 102. First of all, to make things easier for you, you'll find a contents page on the second page here. You can just click on the hyperlinks and go to the related sections. On the next page, you can find some contact details, my name and my office number. Well, if you won't need it for this semester, but if sometime in the future you want to visit me, you can do so in P117. This is my email address, and the office hours are available on CET and auto class. Well, you can find a description of the course and the course aims and objectives here. We briefly talked about them, so please make sure that you read them carefully later. And well, about the course materials, we'll provide the pack for you, so you won't need to buy a book. So the name of the pack is Academic Reading and Writing Skills, METU NCC School of Foreign Languages, Modern Languages Program, ENGL 102 course pack. So this will be uploaded to auto class, all sections, or your meta course, and you can download it there, and if you want, you can get a printout. And well, this is usual regular stuff, grading and numerical to letter grade conversion table. I'm sure you're familiar with this. And well, this is important, the course components. So we have 6 components of the course participation grade, and this comprises 2 online quizzes and overall course participation. So each quiz is worth 1% and the overall course participation is worth 3%. We'll talk about this in detail later. As part of this course, you're going to write an argumentative essay, which is about 1,000 words, and well, you'll do it in sections, in steps. So the first task is writing the essay outline, which is 10%. We'll talk about these in more detail later on, don't worry about them. And the second task is writing one of the body paragraphs of your essay, again 10%. And third task is argumentative essay task 3. Well, this is simply submitting the whole finished essay. And we're going to have 2 exams, one being midterm and the other final exam. They're worth 25% and 30% respectively. And well, starting here, you can find further explanation about course participation grade, argumentative essay task 1, 2, and 3, and also the midterms. I want you to read all of these very carefully, but let's briefly talk about the course participation grade. So as part of the course participation grade, which is 5%, you will do 2 online tasks or quizzes, and well, they will be worth 2%, and the rest, the 3%, will be evaluated on your contribution to overall participation in the course. Okay, so this section you'll be also evaluated on your contribution to sessions and overall participation in the course. Again, I'm going to give you a criteria regarding this. We'll talk about this later in the document. Okay, let's move on. So I'm sure you're familiar with late submission policy if you have taken English 101. So, well, first of all, you're required to submit an essay or a task on time, but sometimes, things don't go right and you may be late, and you can still submit your essay or your task or your homework, whatever it is, in 2 days, okay? 2 days after, until 2 days after the deadline. However, you lose 20%. And if you submit it later than 2 days, then you get 0. Okay, so we got a scenario. So let's say the task is essay task 1. It's worth 10 points, and the deadline is 19th of March by midnight. And it means the late submission period is from 19th midnight to 21st midnight. And let's say you submit it on the 20th, and it's automatically late submission. So the deduction would be 20% of 10 points, which is 2 points. So let's say you get 7 for this task, 7 out of 10. And the deduction, the penalty, the punishment is 2 points. So 7 minus 2, your grade, your final grade will be 5 points. Another important document is plagiarism policy. So, well, we have, plagiarism. Plagiarism is the action of, using ideas or words of other people without crediting them, without explicitly stating that they are borrowed from other sources. And there are different forms and levels of plagiarism, and you can find them here. Also later in the document, you'll see a section where these are discussed in a lot more detail, and it is your responsibility to read them and make sure that you know what the rules are regarding plagiarism at Metro NCC. Okay, so another important part here is the attendance policy. You're allowed 12 hours of absence, and if you exceed that, you will be dismissed. You will get an NA if you exceed this limit. And it is, of course, your own responsibility to catch up to the class and make up for any work done during your absence. Okay, well, here we got some important dates for the tasks and the exams. However, people, these are tentative, meaning not certain, so you have to check the course outline for certain dates. And I'll also make sure that you know them. I'll make announcements when the time comes, okay? And well, here you can find the course outline. This table shows what we are going to cover every week, and the material, the topic, the objectives, and if we have any assessment for that week, we have that here in the rightmost column. And this document is about 2 pages long, and it goes until the end of the semester. So you can easily follow what we are doing every week using this document. Okay, so this is the document that I mentioned earlier. So this is the plagiarism document. Okay, so you'll find the different forms and levels of plagiarism. And also here you'll find a criteria for common knowledge, because you don't have to provide sources or cite every piece of information in your essays. If it's common knowledge, you don't have to do that, but it might be a bit difficult to distinguish between common and specific knowledge. So if it's specific knowledge, then you have to provide a source, you have to cite it. If it's common knowledge, you don't have to. So to make sure you know which sections you must cite, you must provide sources for, you may read this section very carefully, and it might help you. So let's take a look. Common knowledge includes information that appears across many sources without a clear origin. For example, famous historical dates. So Istanbul was conquered in 1453. You don't have to cite this information. It also includes long established facts or theories that are considered foundational to a field. For example, fundamental equations in physics, or an expression like the water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. So you don't have to cite this information because it's common. And however, common knowledge does not include data, statistics, or results of studies. You should always cite the source of such information. It does not include interpretations or arguments. If a statement can be disputed, in other words, if it is subjective, then you should provide a citation. If you aren't sure if something is a common knowledge or not, then be on the safe side and provide a source for it. Okay, and well, here on this link you can take a short test to see if you know what is common knowledge and what is not. Okay, you can do this in your own time. Well, we use a software called Turnitin to check plagiarism, well, for plagiarism detection, in other words. So I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not, I'll give you the instructions necessary for you to upload your assignments to on Turnitin, okay? So, well, as I said before, we have different levels of plagiarism, and they're all explained and discussed here in this section of this document. Please, please, please read them very carefully, and if there's anything vague, anything unclear, please ask me for clarification. Unfortunately, well, a lot of students lost a lot of points because they did not follow the rules here in this plagiarism document. Okay, so please, it is your responsibility to read and understand all these explanations in this part of the document. Okay. All right, so another important section is the course participation grading criteria. Remember, course participation is worth 5% of the course, and 2% comes from online tasks or quizzes, and 3% comes from actual classroom participation. And well, these are the guidelines, these are the criteria, the rubric that you have to fulfill so that you can get full score here. So accordingly, you must contribute to class sessions, you must volunteer to answer questions or take part in discussions and activities. The student is always prepared for the session, having done the homework, the required reading, or completed tasks pre-assigned for the class. Always does homework, tasks, or quizzes assigned outside of class. And if necessary, of course, the student takes up opportunities for guidance outside of class by attending tutorials or office hours, submitting drafts when required, etc. So if you fulfill these criteria, then you get 3 points for course participation. Okay, so, well, just attending the courses is not considered participation. So being there, just sitting there doing nothing, not even turning on your camera, that's not participation. Okay, well, in the remaining of the document, you'll find the grading criteria for the different tasks you'll have throughout the semester. The first one is Essay Task 1 grading criteria. So this is how you will be graded for Essay Task 1. Essay Task 2, and some notes. Task 3, and midterm. The summary paragraph as part of the midterm, you'll get a summary task, and this is how it will be graded. And finally, in the final exam, you'll have to write a reaction paragraph, and this is the grading criteria for that. Okay, that's about it.